Welcome back to another week of First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host Tucker Moore, and I'm joined by my illustrious co-host Johnny Felder.
Yes,
and we are just excited to be back for another week of college football. We're back from our fall break here at Newberry College this week, so we should be back to our normally scheduled program this week.
Yes, sir.
And I want to start by going over the games that we predicted this previous week. And we kind of dropped it to four for the sake of 4 games we predicted for the sake of the program. We had a shorter show, but I want to get into we both went 3-1 this past week. Pretty good week. I think we actually predicted all the same games. I think we I'll start with our only loss of the week. Technically, which was LSU and South Carolina.
South Carolina, y'all can't keep on doing this to me every week, man.
Every week, yeah. It was a rough game. I want to start by saying South Carolina did fire their offensive line coach after an abysmal performance, whether it be Lenore Sellers running for his life all night. I actually have a crazy stat. Mm-hmm. Lenore Sellers had 19 rushing yards on 22 carries, but his net running yards the entire game was 874 yards.
Wow.
He ran around the field for 874 yards. Now, whether that be backwards, laterally, forward, insane. It just goes to show how
just despicable.
Every single time he dropped back was constant pressure all up in his face. I think he got sacked 5 or 6 times. So now Sean Elliott will step into that interim offensive line coaching role. So excited to see how they move forward. But yeah, I think that was just the story of the game. Both offenses were stagnant. Mm-hmm. LSU, they won 20-10, obviously, but they didn't look, too impressive themselves. Garrett Nussmeier with 2 picks. They had to capitalize on some turnovers by South Carolina early.
I was watching the game myself. It really just got to the point it really wasn't that good. I just had to turn the game off.
It was just a slog fest. It was just sloppy. Along with how bad their offensive line was, they racked up, I believe it was 13 penalties. A lot of them were false starts.
Right.
You're not going to win a football game, playing sloppy football like that. So ultimately, I did think that they were going to win. I thought coming out of a bye week, they would have figured some things out, whether it be play calling, offensive line, cohesion, and how they kind of gel together. But that didn't happen. So, Lonnie Teasley out, and I'm excited to see how they respond next week against Oklahoma. But we'll be predicting that game in the next segment.
Yes, sir.
But I want to get into another game we predicted, which that was Vanderbilt and Alabama. I did. Yeah, I think we both predicted Alabama. Mm-hmm. It was a great game.
My fault.
No, you're good.
I feel like it really was a great game, especially for Ty Simpson. He had 3 touchdowns. Every week, he's always improving, and he's just elevating the offense every time.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Oh yeah, like I said the week prior. I mean, I was kind of thinking about this because I mentioned the week prior that he kind of reminded me of an NFL quarterback. I see a lot of Matt Ryan in him.
Matt Ryan?
He's just a very polished. His mechanics are on point. I don't know. He zips the ball. He has great velocity. I think he's really coming to his own. After I've mentioned this before. First few weeks, I wasn't that impressed, but he's really upped his game, and he's been leading this team very well. Ultimately, Vanderbilt came out and gave them some really tough looks. Mm-hmm. I gave them a lot to look at, a lot of misdirection.
Right.
And, of course, Diego Pavia. I think they kind of ultimately they live and die by Diego Pavia. He'll have the crazy, scramble, throw it up into double coverage, chunk plays that work. But then again, he'll have the boneheaded rolling out and try and pitch it backwards and fumble type of plays. So it's very high risk, high reward with him. And more often than not, you saw that risk overtook the reward. He had a couple of turnovers. So, ultimately it was a close game throughout, but Alabama pulled away in the end and got the win. And like I said, we both predicted Alabama, so it wasn't a huge shock. I knew it would be a close game. Vanderbilt's a very talented team, and, excited to see them take on LSU. Again, we will be predicting that in a moment. But moving on to the other games we predicted.
I think we had we had
Oregon, Indiana.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and we both did pick Indiana. We did. We got that right. And that was kind of a hot, might have been a hot pick or whatever you want to call it. I just see Kurt Cignetti, what he's doing with this program, is just insane.
Especially the defense, man. Like, I really like their defense, like how they're coming in every week and just shutting every offense down, especially top 10 in the country. Like, you cannot deny the Hoosiers now, especially in football.
He's just one of the hottest coaches in the country right now. You look at the program that he took over. This was an Indiana program that didn't even make a bowl. He took over, starts the year 10-0, insane, makes the playoffs in his first year. Now looking at this year,
same thing again.
Same thing,
Transfer
undefeated,
quarterback.
top 5 team. I don't know what, he just knows how to go out and win. And he said that. He said, Google me, I win. He said that.
I like to highlight a player on their squad being Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
He's really been good this season, especially for them coming from Cal. Like, what he did last year for the Golden Bears was great, but for the Hoosiers now, it's just really amazing. They really walked into a Tarzan Stadium and walked over the Ducks.
Yeah, they sure did. That was an exciting game to kind of predict and watch, and they went out and got it done ultimately.
Yes, sir.
And for our final game, we had
Georgia and Auburn.
Yep, that's right. We had. I think I had Georgia winning that one.
I had Georgia. Well, we both did.
So what a game that was. Very controversial. Play call there at halftime.
Right.
The Jackson Arnold, crossing the plane, did he or did he not? That really changed the landscape of this game.
I'm not going to lie.
They had the opportunity to go up 17-0 at half. That really turned the game around. That was. I'm not here to debate whether. Okay, I think it was a bad call.
I feel like it was a bad call.
Cat's out of the bag. I think it was bad. And then you had the timeout, saying he didn't call a timeout. Kirby Smart,
it was just a sloppy game. Like, let's just call it what it is. It just been one of those sloppy games again.
Yeah. It was Georgia ultimately got the win. Yeah, Auburn put up a lot of fight in the second half. Their offense got shut down. Georgia defense really put their hats on and went out and attacked them and. It kind of went how I expected. I expected it to be kind of a lower scoring slugfest type of game.
Right.
But, that's how that one ended up. And I want to get into, a game that we didn't talk about or cover, but had huge implications, and that was Penn State and Northwestern. Obviously, I'm sure most of you know, they lost to Northwestern after, a absolutely tremendous upset. Coming off of already the biggest upset of the season when they lost to UCLA. Now they sit at 3-3, and head coach James Franklin was fired. What a just shocking turn of events for, you look back a couple of weeks and this was a top 5 team going toe-to-toe in a top 10 matchup versus Oregon. It's just crazy to see how things really can turn around in college football.
Right.
And now we're looking at a team who just fired their, one of their most accomplished head coaches, they've had he's really maintained a level of success there. It's just crazy to see. And it's we're very intrigued to see where he will end up, and also very intrigued to see who fills that role. A lot of people, there's been a lot of names being put in that hat. I've seen Billy Napier. I don't know about that.
That's
Yeah, it's just looking forward to seeing how that goes. But anyways, that is all for our recap from last week's games. In the next segment, we are going to get into our predictions for some of the biggest games coming up. And we'll have that for you on First Down Friday. Welcome back to First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host, Tucker Moore, joined by my illustrious co-host once again, Johnny Felder. And now we're just excited to get into this week's predictions, our score predictions, what we think is going to happen in there's a lot of big games, Yes. And I want to start with Georgia and Ole Miss. Now, this was a game last year, a huge, semi-huge upset. Semi-huge upset. Ole Miss came in and kind of whooped Georgia 28-10. Certainly a lot of people did not predict that. This year, I see it happening a little different. I do have Georgia in this game. Looking at how Ole Miss looked last week versus Washington State, their offense didn't look too good. They kind of struggled, only put up 24 points, I believe. And I think with this Georgia defense and the way that they've been playing, you're going to have to come and be on your A game and really get the ball moving. I think their run game has struggled a bit. I just overall in this game, I would give the advantage to Georgia. I think they're more talented. I think they're more ferocious on defense. And, overall, I just think Kirby Smart has the ability to get his guys and rally his guys, especially in the second half.
Right.
You see that quite often. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a very close game, tie game, or if Georgia's even losing at half. And, like I said, you saw it last week versus Auburn. They shut Auburn down and ended up winning the game. I think it could be a very similar thing. Now, my key to this is they cannot afford to get down to even 3 possessions or, at half or anything like that. They have to keep it competitive. That offense has got to, push the ball downfield. And yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
So my thoughts on this game, I really feel like Ole Miss, I really feel like this will go the same like as last year. And it's so crazy because we just had talked about this not too long ago before we even hopped on the air about this game. And we kind of had a little disagreement about it. But it was literally just one of those things, man. Like, I feel like Ole Miss can go in here and do the same thing that they did to Georgia last year, as long as they keep the same composure and the offensive consistency stays the same and they keep the same energy. Yeah, this game this weekend was a little close and was a little rough, but I really feel like Ole Miss has the advantage. My key thing for them is to be themselves on offense, and then on defense, always stop the pass. Georgia is a pass-heavy team, and it's literally just one of those things that they're just going to have to do is just stop the pass. And just overall, just be coachable. That's my thing for Ole Miss. And then as for Georgia, I'm really not going to say too much for Georgia. My only thing for Georgia is stop the big plays and don't let the big plays happen, especially on defense. You got Ole Miss coming in really hard, especially with Trinidad Chambliss just making plays and having either throwing the ball or running the ball somewhere. He's doing something. So it's really one of those things that they just got to stop the big plays.
Oh yeah, I agree. And Ole Miss, their trademark is kind of those big explosive plays. Excited to see how Trinidad Chambliss kind of matches up with this Georgia defense. But ultimately, I do have Georgia winning 27-17.
I feel like my score prediction for them my score prediction is 27-20. It's literally just going to be one of those close games.
Yeah, I definitely say that. And it could go either way. I do think Georgia will win, though. But moving on, I want to get into Oklahoma versus South Carolina. This is a really intriguing matchup. Both teams are really looking for a bounce-back win. Like I mentioned previously, Lonnie Teasley, the offensive line coach at South Carolina, fired this week. So Sean Elliott will come in. I'm really interested to see how this offensive line can look a little more revitalized this week. Now, I don't expect them to turn everything around overnight, but Sean Elliott is a coach who is very fiery, very passionate, and I'm looking to see if that kind of translates to this offensive line, maybe gelling, maybe being a little more intense this week. With that being said, that's a huge key for me because, like I said, I've mentioned before, I am a South Carolina fan, and being objective about it, they might not win another game if this offensive line continues to look as poor as it has, especially with the schedule that they have. On the flip side, Oklahoma really struggled this past week against Texas. Their offense really, really struggled, and that's been kind of their selling point this year with John Mateer. Now, granted, he is coming off of a broken hand, and you might have seen it a little bit last week. He had multiple picks, in key moments especially, and their offense just sputtered, mightily throughout the game. And, their defense held up for the first half, but it kind of got away from them. I think that inability to move the ball downfield and score and put points on the board and take some of that pressure off, you kind of just saw it get away from them. So both teams looking for a really big win this week.
I really feel like for both teams, honestly, especially for Oklahoma, I really feel like the thing for them, they have to stop Lenore Sellers, especially with what he got, his running, his passing. He's developed more this year as a passer, and I give flowers when it's due. Like, he's developed more of a passer this year, and that's really just one of those big things that they're going to have to stop it. And on for South Carolina side, I really feel like you said, offense is really just going to be a key point for this game, and that key point is the offensive lineman. And like you said, they just fired their head coach, and it ain't going to happen overnight, but it's really
offensive line coach.
Offensive line.
They didn't fire Shane Beamer. Those of you at home, Shane Beamer is still in.
That
office.
is my fault.
No, I know what you meant.
Yeah, but other than that, though, South Carolina really has to do their shebig in this game, pretty much against Oklahoma. With that being said, South Carolina will take the dub and find a way this week against Oklahoma.
Yeah, like I said, I am a South Carolina fan. I hate. They make me look stupid a lot, but
no. Don't say
then again,
don't say that.
I'm thinking they might make me look like a genius this week. I am going with South Carolina in this game.
Yes.
It being a home game, they'll be back in Williams-Brice Stadium. I think Oklahoma is kind of, they're kind of with the way they struggled last week. I don't think they're on the pedestal that they quite were, and I don't know if they're as good as we quite thought they were.
Right.
But you can't always go off of 1 week. Ultimately, I think this South Carolina team is going to be fired up. I know Shane Beamer is just looking for kind of the signature win for the year. They're going to have to go out and get a couple of these wins if they want to make a bowl game even. So I think this is a great opportunity for them to go out and get a win versus a team that maybe isn't as good as we thought they were. But same could be said with LSU, and they couldn't get anything going there. But with that being said, I do have South Carolina winning this game. I think it'll be really, really close. I think a 28-27 barn burner type of game. And I'm just praying they don't make me look foolish like they have before. But
that's I'm not gonna lie, that was well said. Like I said, it's literally just one of those games that's really gonna be close. I have it being 27-24 type of games, like how you have it close for that game pretty much.
Yeah. Excited to see it regardless. But moving on, we have one of my more exciting games of the week to watch. Vanderbilt versus LSU.
Oh man.
Kind of going into this game, like I said, with the South Carolina game, they played LSU. LSU just, I don't know what's going on with their offense. They just can't get it going. Garrett Nussmeier has looked pretty lackluster all year. Their only saving grace really is their defense, which is pretty elite, I would say.
I love their defense. Like, I cannot complain. Like, I love their defense.
Yeah, I mean, they're very talented, flying all over the field, whether it's Harold Perkins, at the nickel, whether it's Whit Weeks or West Weeks at the linebacker spot. They just fly around. Their cornerbacks are really talented.
Pickett, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just have to keep on saying that elite build.
Yeah. With that being said, I don't know if they've seen an offense quite like this Vanderbilt offense yet, with how creative they can get on the offensive side of the ball, how dynamic a quarterback like Diego Pavia makes them. And having guys like Eli Stowers, out there at the tight end position, and they have a crop of really good running backs. I'm really excited to see this because I do think Vanderbilt's going to have the upset. Which I kind of said this before. I think I said this when I predicted Ole Miss and LSU. Not really an upset to me,
right?
Albeit the rankings. If you're just looking at the rankings, it's an upset. Vanderbilt being ranked number 17, LSU being number 10 in the country. I don't really see it as an upset. I think Vanderbilt's going to go in there and come out with a win. I think their offense is a lot more dynamic than LSU's, albeit LSU has an elite defense. It could definitely be a really low-scoring game. It could be I don't know if this is my score prediction. I could see it being like a 10-14 type of game, a 13-14 type of game. Just the kind of mix of how these two teams match up. It's a really interesting matchup, and I'm really just excited to see how this Vanderbilt offense and this LSU defense kind of collide and who comes out with the win at the end. And I think it's going to be Vanderbilt. So I do have Vanderbilt. I'm going to give it a 20-14 type of game. Yeah, I just don't think this LSU offense is going to keep up with them.
That's well said. And also, this game right here is really my game of the week. Also, it's really just, I feel like Vanderbilt has got all the tools in their bag in order to take this upset. LSU, like you said, has not seen Vandy's offense yet. They have a whole lot of tools that they can throw at them. But one thing I will give props where it's due at is LSU's defense has been strapping other teams, but their offense it's just really been looking suspect. And just Garrett Nussmeier's offense, it's just like I really just can't mess with it. But like Diego Pavia's offense is way better. But with that being said, though, I really have Vanderbilt pulling off the upset. I'll give it like one of those 13-10 type of games. That's what I feel like.
That's fair. I mean, I could definitely see it happening. It's kind of rare seeing a low-scoring game like that, but these two teams, you never know.
Right.
But, getting into our final game, I want to talk about Notre Dame and USC. Looking historically, this would be a clash of the Titans, between these two blue blood programs.
Right.
Really interesting. We have USC ranked number 20. They came off a loss a couple weeks ago, and then we have Notre Dame coming into this game. Started the year 0-2, but two really tough matchups in consecutive weeks.
Right.
Being versus Miami and Texas A&M, two teams that are undefeated currently. So, but they're now up to number 13 in the country. They're 4-2, and ultimately, I look at this game. It's a really intriguing game. From the perspective of USC, they have Jaden Mayava, their quarterback. He's really talented, gunslinger. Typical West Coast USC quarterback type of activity.
I was about to say.
He's one of them West Coast sling it sidearm, gunslinger type of guys. And then I've mentioned him many, many times. Mekhi Lemon, their wide receiver, he's an absolute game changer. Probably been the most impressive, if not one of the most impressive wide receivers or just weapons in general this season. With that being said, overall, I think Notre Dame is the more talented team on paper. I think their defense is more flies around a little bit more. I think their defense is more disciplined. And ultimately, I just see this game, I could see, USC kind of coming in and striking first or, maybe getting up a little bit. But I think this defense is going to figure them out pretty quickly. And I think ultimately, I think they have enough pieces on offense, whether it be Jeremiah Love or what have you, Jaden Greathouse for Notre Dame. I think ultimately Notre Dame will find a way to kind of pull away in this one. Like I said, with their defense, I think their defense is really good. So I have this being, kind of like I think it'll be a really, really close game all the way to the end. I think it'll end up being a Notre Dame 37, USC 30 type of game. A little bit more high scoring, but, what are your thoughts with this one?
So with my thoughts being on this game, I really like USC offense, especially Jaden Mayava. The typical quarterback, like we said, gunslinger, man.
Yeah.
Like you really can't deny this offense as a whole. And they've been coming in throughout this whole week just smacking people in the mouth, whether they're winning a game or not. But with this game here, I really feel like that they're going to meet their match pretty much with the Fighting Irish. And it's really just one of those games that's the Clash of Titans. And I really feel like going into this game, USC is going to punch them in the mouth a couple of times, but I really feel like Notre Dame will pull it off, and I'll give it 27-20 type of game, just because that their defense, you can't deny Notre Dame's defense.
Yeah.
Like, you really can't deny it.
Most definitely. And really excited for this game, and really excited for every game that we have on our slate. And but that's going to do it for our predictions. Like I said, really excited. We'll get back with you next week as far as that goes. But coming up, hold your horses. Coming up, we have our trivia segment, and this week we're going to do a little Heisman back and forth. We'll both be naming Heismans until we run out. So very excited for that. But we'll have that in a moment. Welcome back to First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host, Tucker Moore, joined by my co-host, Johnny Felder.
Yes, sir.
Now it's time for our favorite segment of the week. I'm sure yours too. Feel free to play along with us. We have our trivia of the week, and this week we're going to do a little bit of a Heisman shootout. So the way this is going to work, we're both going to go back and forth naming former Heisman winners until one of us runs out or can't think of one. And this can be any Heisman winner over the last, almost 100 years, if we can dig back that far. Doesn't have to be in the order in which they won it. Just as long as they won the Heisman, it qualifies, and we will be going back and forth, and we'll have about 10 seconds of guessing before, you're done. So, all right, I'm really excited for this. Are you ready, Johnny?
I am.
All right, I will go ahead and start it off with Travis Hunter.
I'll go RG3.
I'll go Caleb Williams.
I'll go Jameis Winston.
I'll go Jaden Daniels.
I'll go Marcus Mariota.
I'll go Johnny Manziel.
I'll go Barry Sanders.
Okay. Archie Griffin.
I'll go Baker Mayfield.
Desmond Howard.
Oh, no. Charles Woodson.
Ooh, okay. Joe Burrow.
I'll go Rashad Salam.
What? All right, let me lock in. Lamar Jackson.
Let me see. I go Melvin Gordon.
Kyler Murray.
Let me see. Derrick Henry.
Carson Palmer.
Matt Liner.
You know what? Doak Walker.
Oh, wow. Let me go Bo Jackson.
Reggie Bush.
Vince Young.
George Rogers.
Oh, my God. Let me see.
Uh-oh. Ding, ding, ding.
I don't know.
And I am the winner of our... That was fun. I like that.
I'm not gonna lie. That was fun.
You good. did. We went for a while. What was that?
Rashawn Salam. He was the University of Colorado running back.
Okay, that was a crazy pull. I never would have even known that. So that was really fun. I think we might come back next week with another sort of game like that.
We're going to have to tussle it out.
Yeah, that's right. But I hope you guys played along at home. Hope that was fun for you guys. But that's going to do it for our trivia segment this week. And when we come back, we'll close out the show with our weekly kind of Newberry football report as they take on Mars Hill for homecoming this week. So we'll be back with that in a moment. Welcome back to First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host once again, Tucker Moore, and I'm here with Johnny Felder. And now we're going to kind of close out the show with our weekly, update on Newberry College football, because we are Newberry College students.
Yes.
And we have an obligation to cover our football team, who actually is very, very successful right now. They're having a great year, really great year actually. And this week we're coming up on our homecoming game versus Mars Hill. So
Yes.
Johnny, take it away a little. What are you looking for in this game?
Yes.
How big is this game for Newberry?
I feel like it's really going to be one of those really big games for them. They're going to really want revenge back after the last year loss at home against Mars Hill. With that being said, Newberry is going to take the win against Mars Hill. Not only is it homecoming in the Berry, and the Berry is the place you want to be at for this game, but it's also going to be a whole lot of offensive fire within Key Desishore and Reed Sharpier, especially Quasi Spells in at running back. If y'all ain't see the play that he did with Tusculum, man, y'all are in for a treat, especially for the offensive side. But on the defensive side, though, y'all have to watch out for my boy, Mikey Blandon. He's really one of those ones that's one of those anchors on defense, especially Devron. Yeah, so it's literally just one of those things that Newberry is going to have to win against Mars Hill this homecoming.
Oh yeah, and it's really big implications. Newberry's 5-1 going into this one. With their one loss being to Catawba. As far as SAC standings go, this is a really big one. Need to go out and win this one and stay alive in the hunt for being that number one seed for the SAC championship
and potentially like the playoffs.
Oh yeah, potentially playoff run. I mean, with this team,
it's been a year. It's been a couple of years now.
Oh yeah, they've gotten back to their form. They're really competitive. This offense is really they're just liable to go off any play, liable to have a long explosive play, any play. So it's been really awesome to see. But ultimately, I think we both have Newberry winning this one. What else could we do? We're not going to bet against our own school. I mean, come on now. What are you talking about? All jokes aside, I do think Newberry will go out and get the win. Should be a really good game though, regardless. But everybody come out and support the Wolves and get out for homecoming and enjoy the festivities. And hopefully we'll see you at the game. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of First Down Fridays. I'm your co-host, Tucker Moore, along with Johnny Felder. And join us next week for more First Down Fridays.